for it. Alright, just make sure everything is working here, and we go full screen. So space seems to work, just to make sure. Okay, cool. Oh gosh. So this is basically like the Kirby Samurai game, or any sort of quick reaction games. Did it not record the score on the first one? Well, now it did. Ha! I did actually practice before the stream, so... He's tricky. Tricky. Yeah, got up to 5. What is that? What? Boo! Go. Alright, so basically you just have to wait until... I'm gonna pretend that's Waluigi. Waluigi turns white. Oh. Darn you. I do like the fact that you can't actually spam, so I'm not going to demonstrate it here, but by actually spamming the turtle shells, you lose your high score as a consequence, and you can't actually shoot multiple times either. There's a cooldown on the shooting, so I actually appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense from a systems perspective. Oh no, goodness. Okay, there we go. Ha! Get ready. There. Those fireworks, I'm not really certain what's going on. Oh no, what? I lost 5 after the other time too, so I guess it just gets harder whenever the fireworks shows up. Oh. Yeah. This game is kind of silly in its... Oh, that was a little too late, huh? This game is kind of silly in its own way. I do kind of like that, the art style. The music is a little simple in my opinion. It's kind of interesting that you can shoot too late and have it not count. Is there a particular reason for that? To be fair, the way it's kind of angled, I'm less concerned about whether I time myself correctly and make sure that I actually push it fast enough that I can, when you know Waluigi starts flashing white, like whether I can hit the spacebar fast enough to get there. I do like that dynamic. Darn it. I lost my high score. No. Alright, I lost all rhythm. I made it up to score 5 though. So I guess that's what counts. Yeah. I'll see if I can actually get a little higher score than 5, but after that, I think I'm pretty much ready to rate this. There's a huge satisfaction when you manage to hit Waluigi on the head. It feels really nice. The screen shakes, the pauses, it all comes together in that regards. I think the presentation is really solid. The music is on the repetitive side, to be honest. Yeah, finally. Oh, I got my rhythm back. Now I just need to wait until he jumps. Ha! Knew that was gonna happen. That's a weird way of writing an 8 on the screen. Oh gosh, that was... Yeah! Whew. Oh gosh! Darn it! Alright, yeah, that's it, I'm good. Alright, yeah, I'm good at this. I'm not gonna go for 100 as the description of the game implies. Well, phew. That was stressful. Aww. But hey, it's a good kind of stressful, I like that. So, innovation, not really. I mean, it's basically the Kirby timing, any sort of like Nintendo timing game where you're trying to shoot before the other person does. I actually had a decent amount of fun with it, believe it or not. Theme. It's an interpretation of the theme, seeing that you're trying to control basically the pipe that spits out enemies. But in a lot of ways, that's kind of like a boring interpretation of it, a very average expected interpretation of it. Now, for the people who are watching this on YouTube and whatnot, basically when we're rating themes, we're going to be rating off of whether the interpretation of the theme is interesting or not, rather than whether it follows the theme perfectly or not. So that's why we're kind of giving these a relatively lower score than what you would expect from an average person rating these games. So that's why it's right now 3 stars, because it hits, you know, it does have monsters in it, and that's about it, basically. Let's hope that... Okay, so I keep forgetting to bring it back to full screen, but yes, I do have that. The graphics is pretty good. Yeah, I really don't have much to complain about the graphics, to be honest. The audio I thought could be better. I mean, it's polished enough such that, you know, all the sound effects has a clear meaning, and I like that. But the music just felt really repetitive, and while it's definitely better to have music from the first place, it just feels like, uh, I thought it just could have been a little better in my opinion. That was the most mesmerizing GIF right there. Humor. Yeah, actually, I feel like I had a decent amount of. That was a decent amount of humor there. It wasn't exactly meant to be all that funny, but I kind of liked it for what it was. Yeah, I'm debating about the mood here because the mood is whether the graphics and the gameplay fits. It's an interesting way of presenting the timing genre. I feel like the one thing that timing genres did a good job was it tries to flash your screen, flash the screen, rather than just on Waluigi himself, which um, I don't necessarily see the lack of that as a bad thing, to be honest. Because if you're paying attention, like it's pretty easy to tell when the character is about to jump. So I appreciate that you had that look ahead, the white flashing on there on the sprite. It was really informative. Um, but I'm not really talking about getting the mood portion of it done. When we talk about mood, my line of thinking is that does the game mechanic work together well, harmoniously with the graphics and audio? Um, I'm prone to say mostly yes. I don't see any particular especially large flaw to it. Yeah, there is actually one weird flaw, I feel like. The the sort of sharpshooter games, they do a little better by relying more on sound effects, if anything. And I see like the point here was it was attempting to be just, a sort of a parody of Mario games, and I appreciate that for what it is. But gameplay-wise, it was more like a thriller, something that kind of puts you know that puts sweat in your hand as you're carefully waiting, checking to make sure who shoots first, kind of thing. So in that sense, like I don't think the mood was nearly as good. There's also the bizarre fact that Waluigi kind of moves in this weird slow pace before he makes it to the ledge, which is kind of weird. That's just me. Um, Still, like I said, I did like the presentation of it, so I thought that was pretty solid. So yeah, solid entry. Liked it for its own silliness that it is. Pretty cool. Got up to score 10. The game can be quite stressful towards those later um, as you start to score higher. Excuse me. It's such a simple game. I want to provide some more constructive criticism, but there's not things that immediately comes to my mind. I guess the first thing is that I feel like the presentation, while beautiful in its own way, doesn't quite fit with the gameplay. I feel like the presentation, while beautiful in its own way, doesn't quite fit the gameplay. Um, the old M up mini games are usually presented in a super tense way. So while I kind of wanted a more tense experience. I do, though, like that the Mario aesthetic gives an excuse to add extra curveballs to the mix, such as Bake Off. Doesn't like curveballs because... Alright, I'm just gonna put a dash in there. So yeah, I think it's a solid entry though. Liked it for what it was.